The 15th century was a brutal time for Eastern Europe, where empires clashed and borders shifted constantly. The Ottoman Empire surged north Poland and Hungary vied for dominance, and in between stood the small but fiercely independent Moldavia. Moldavia's fate was crucial, a buffer state whose survival mattered to all of Christian Europe. Into this chaos, Stephen was born around 1433, son of Bogdan II, and raised amid betrayal and war. His uncle, Petru Aron, murdered his father and seized the throne, forcing young Stephen into exile. In Hungary and Wallachia, Stephen learned the art of survival and found an ally in his cousin, Vlad the Impaler. With Vlad's support, Stephen returned in 1457, leading a small but loyal force. At the Battle of Orbic, Stephen's courage inspired his men to victory over Petru Aron, reclaiming his father's throne. Stephen's journey from exile to prince was complete, but his true test, defending Moldavia, was just beginning. The land he inherited was battered, but his resolve was unbreakable. He would need every lesson learned in exile to survive the storms ahead. The fate of Moldavia and perhaps all of Eastern Europe now rested on his shoulders. Stephen wasted no time rebuilding Moldavia. He reformed the military, creating a loyal standing army and a mass levy of free men, uniting nobles and peasants in defense of their homeland. This people's army transformed Moldavia's spirit. Every man had a stake in its survival. Stephen curbed the power of the boyars, strengthened justice, and personally presided over courts, earning the loyalty of his people. He promoted trade and prosperity, ensuring Moldavia could fund its defense and future. At the heart of his rule was faith. Stephen saw himself as a defender of Orthodox Christianity. He built and endowed monasteries and churches, making them centers of culture and national identity. These acts reinforced Moldavia's unity and gave the people a cause greater than politics. Under Stephen, Moldavia became resilient, prosperous, and united. His reforms laid the foundation for a nation ready to face any threat. Moldavia was reborn, its people and faith stronger than ever. Stephen was a master diplomat, playing Poland, Hungary, and the Ottomans against each other to keep Moldavia independent. He paid tribute to the Ottomans when necessary, but never surrendered his people's freedom. In 1475, Sultan Mehmed II sent a massive army to crush Moldavia. Outnumbered, Stephen used the land itself as his weapon, luring the Ottomans into marshes and forests, harassing them with guerrilla tactics. At Vaslui, in dense fog and frozen ground, Stephen's forces struck with precision, turning confusion into chaos. The Ottomans, disoriented and bogged down, were routed by a much smaller Moldavian force. It was one of medieval Europe's greatest upsets, a victory that stunned the world. Stephen declared his triumph to the Pope and Europe's kings, cementing his reputation as Christendom's defender. But the threat was not over. Moldavia's survival would demand more than one victory. Stephen's leadership and cunning had bought his people time and hope. The world now saw Moldavia not as a pawn, but as a fortress of faith and resistance. The legend of Stefan the Great was born on the battlefield. His fight for Moldavia was far from over. Victory at Vaslui didn't end the struggle. Stephen faced even greater Ottoman invasions, suffering defeats but never surrendering. He retreated, scorched the earth, and forced the Ottomans to withdraw, proving Moldavia's resilience. After every major battle, Stephen built monasteries and churches, leaving a legacy of faith and culture. The painted monasteries of Bukovina with their vibrant frescoes became symbols of Moldavian identity and spiritual defiance. Stephen ruled for 47 years, transforming Moldavia into a strong, independent power. When he died in 1504, his people mourned a father and savior. His tomb at Putna Monastery became a place of pilgrimage and national pride. Centuries later, Stephen was canonized as a saint, his legend growing ever stronger. Today, monuments to Stephen stand across Romania and Moldova, a reminder of the prince who saved his nation. His legacy endures in stone, spirit, and the hearts of his people.